Hi there everyone, it's Marlene from Art by Marlene. Just give me 1 second. I will find myself on my iPad. Welcome for those of you that's also watching via the replay on YouTube. And I'm there. Day 23 of the Art by Marlene Advent Calendar 2024 already. It looks like I've been through the wars. You can see I've got all kitten bite places. I've got glue on my hands because I was busy gluing projects for Christmas. And I've got, I cut into my finger, so that happens as well. So I have been through the wars a bit, but you'll just have to bear with me today. It is just the way it is today. So I didn't announce that I was going live. I had no idea which time I would be able to go live today, but we are here and we are ready, and it is day 23 of the Art by Marlene Crafting Makes Everything Better Advent Calendar. So day 23, we have this stencil, which is a gorgeous background stencil with all different patterns and designs, and very playful and just ready to use. So I'm going to put my envelope to the side. Let's see, where are we? Day 16, 18. This is my least favorite page of all of them. It's not finished. I will have to finish this one at some stage. It's just not, it's not what I like. Day 19, 20, 21, 22, and this is day 23. So once again, let's put my little structure under there just to give myself a bit of leverage on there. And today we're going to go in with this stencil, and we'll have to prep our page beforehand to just get the result that we want in there. Hi Marelia, yeah, am I pronouncing that right? From Puerto Rico. Hello there. I am on later today, so the Puerto Ricans, Americans, and all those can join us on the other side of the world. Usually I go on during the morning, so I'm a bit mid-afternoon now. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon in the Netherlands, and on the 23rd of December 2024. So let's start and just create a base for our page. So I'm not going to gesso first. I'm going to go in with the pink, and I'm going to go in with Smurf, which I'm going to mix with pink. And I'm going to go in with Peony. This one's almost finished. I'll have to get a new one of those. And let's see, not lace, we'll do clotted cream. It's almost 9 o'clock in the morning, yes, and where you are at. So I hope the lighting is okay. Hope you can all see it okay. Maybe better like that. So let's grab a paintbrush and let's start our expedition. So let's grab a piece of cardboard just behind there, and I'm just going to go in there. Of course we will need a bit of that black too. and I will just soften the black with a bit of wine. We'll just make it less black. So if we and what I do is just softly crosshatch a bit, add the colors so it'll fade out. You can see I just fade out the colors a bit. So let's go in here with that bluish purple. And I'm going to go for quite dark tones in my underlayer. And once again, you can see what happens when I don't do the gesso. You can actually see that tape under there. We'll just have to do 2 layers. So let's go in there. I'm going to put the pink back in. I'm just doing it layering because I do not want it to be too bright, because I want to do stenciling on this side. I do want some contrast in that. So I'm going to go in over here. And what you can also do is just wet your sponge. Just going to grab a little sponge here, one that I've cut down at some stage. So what I'll do is just rub it in, and you can just dab, oops, taking the paint off there, putting it on, and then softening it and dabbing it throughout. Gives you a softer look than the paint stripes. Can you see that? Makes a bit of a difference, don't you think? So let's go in and grab a bit of that lighter color there, and you can see it's quite muted tones. I've got a bit of a moody page going on here. Let's put a bit of that peony in. I'm going to just clean my brush a bit in between. And go in with my pink. Bit of that white in there. Just do this side of my bit of that purpley color, blue purple there, and on the sides there where I see a bit of white peeking through, which I don't like. And I'm just going to soften the edge there as well, so it looks more as if it's part of the whole page. And let's go in here with a second coat of paint. just softening it. And going in with a bit of blue, purple on top of that. That'll make it a bit brighter instead of only being moody. And just to the sides, we're softening it. There we are. So I think that is it for the base layer. Gives it a good base to work with. I did plug in my heat tool already. Let's put my paint aside. Hi Iris, hello. So I've got that. So just because I do want to go over the whole page with negative stenciling, what I'm going to use my gel medium for this. And I'm going to take my gel medium and I'm going to take a flat broad brush and I'm going to cover my pages with a really thin coat of gel medium, not thick. You want to cover everything, but you want to just do it a very thin coat. You just want the same absorbency on both sides, because the one side is actually paper and your other side is acrylic paint. You just want it to react on both sides in the same way, and you not want to damage your paper. So I'm just giving it that light coat of the matte gel medium. See, my packaging is already damaged. I always get the old stuff. I always keep the old stuff. I don't want to throw anything away. I've said that before. I'm a bit of a, yeah, I don't know, I don't like throwing things away. And I always think, oh well, I can still use it. I wouldn't want a customer to have something that's damaged, but all the damaged stuff I always trade in. So those of you that don't have a heat tool, it's actually one of the things that you use in mixed media quite a bit, I think, or I do. It just decreases the waiting time in between layers a lot. Makes it a bit more fun instead of just waiting and watching paint dry. You just have a bit more time on your hands to do fun things, I think. So that is really the difference. So I'm just going to put the paint palette there, put this one over here, so I don't put this one here so I don't damage my ribbons at the top, because I've done that before. Okie dokie, now what I want to do is I actually want to go in with a second coat of paint on top of this, and I want to do the negative stenciling on top of this. So what will I need, of course, is my baby wipes. So grab 2 or 3 of those. I just make sure I fold them beforehand so they're ready to use, and I don't have to fiddle around with them. This plaster and everything that I've got on here is not working with me. So now what I want to do is, the colors that I want to use is Mermaid. I'm going to use white. Hello, Daphne. And I'm going to use Happy. And let's do a bit of Sky, which is just slightly lighter than the Smurf that I had on there. You don't really see it in the tubes, but when you look at it, it is slightly lighter than the color we had. So that is what I'm going to work with. And oops, got sticking to there. And what I'm going to do is start off by putting a coat of white paint there. And then going through with my stencil. And removing it. Then go in. So what you can do is just make sure my wipes are still a bit wet, I see. So I've just wring them out in my little water container. So let's just... So let's go in and then let's put a bit of that in there. Hi, Michelle. Hi. Hi, Irene. So let's go in and then into this corner. There, remove some paint in that corner. So I've got a few colors on there, so let's see. Maybe go in. What is this? Oh, that's from the glue that I was busy with my project. I get it everywhere because it's still on my desk. Add a bit of that yellow over there. And let's put some yellow up there. My wipes is a bit wet, and that is problematic, but I don't have any other wipes on me, so I'll just have to make do with these. If your wipes or your underlay is too wet, you won't get really nice lines in your stenciling. Put that like so. I think that is okay. And then we of course have to repeat our turquoise. We can go into the corner over here. With just a bit of turquoise, and we can go in and just do that border as well, so it kind of goes down. So I've got a few color inspirations and line work there. So what I want to do now is I want to go in with my fine brush. Now let me just see where it is. Now I'm first going to do the positive stenciling. Wait, let me do this. I'm going to just wet my sponge. So this is 1 times wet, and then I'm going to do 1, 2, press it out, 3, press it out, 4, press it out in water. Just a bowl of water, 5, just a couple of times, then press out all the excess water. Just dab it dry, and then that is your sponge. So it's soft and fluffy. Very important. So when you use the artist sponges, don't forget. I say it every single time, but I still hear people saying, oh, I can't get my stenciling right. And then usually the problem is that they are not using a wet sponge or a damp sponge. And you can use a spray bottle of water if you're on the go. But stenciling is usually not something that you do on the go. That's something that you... But I've used a spray bottle before when I went camping or something. I think that is not bright enough, so what I will do, because my underlay is dark, I'll just give that a quick dry, make sure that that is dry. And I'll actually go over that another time. So what am I doing now? You might ask yourself. I do ask myself that quite a few times. But what you're doing is you're going from your negative stenciling over into your positive stenciling. So you've got that, both the design in the positive and in the negative way, which will just make it the flow of the page better. So let's go and see. I want this little starry things there in the corner. So dab your paint off, make sure it's a very even light coverage that you're going for. You're not putting pressure on your stencil, because as soon as you push, you will push the paint through your stencil. and you don't want that. You don't want to push paint through. So you're just dabbing, 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 dabbing. So give that a quick dry. Making sure that you don't just pull up the paint when you keep on dabbing over the same paint. I like to get some water out of the baby wipes using some kitchen paper. Yeah, that you can do too. I just really wring them out with my fingers really hard. And you can just actually press out all the extra moisture. And I just press all the extra moisture into my water container that I use for my paintbrushes. So that just gives you enough coverage that you think, okay, you've got that white coming there, you've got the white coming there. Then you might want to just add a bit of that white at the bottom, just to have the repeat of 3. So I've got the repeat of that color there, and then I'm going to go in with my yellow with a bit of white, because we're working on that dark background, remember. Oh, it's a bit wet. Should have used a little less paint. And because I just want to make sure that I've got a bit brighter, I am drying that. And then once again going in with my yellow paint, and I do thin layers of stenciling, that way you get nice stenciling. Oops. You see, then you have that nice bright stencil lines there, and it just covers over and it blends over to this. So what we're going to do here is do the same. Maybe take a bit of that white, spread it evenly. So you've got your stenciling there, but you just want to make sure you do a second little coat, or I like to do that. I can't tell you what the right way is for other people. I just know what works for me and what I do. And that's the only thing that I can base my teaching on, is doing what I do and what works for me. There we are. So let's see. Now I do want to do this. No hard pressure. And I'm not going to do a second layer there because I think it's light enough. And now we're going to go in with our turquoise. So what's I'm going to do with my turquoise now, I'm just going to put my stencil down and just remove any excess that is really thick on my stencil, just to make sure that as I go in, I don't get too much yellow on my sponge. That's the only thing I want, is just to make sure that I get that actually in that blue turquoisey color. So I'm gonna just, for the demo's sake, just cut off one layer of my sponge and go in with my second color. Remember, if you're doing this at home, you can just make sure that you just throw your sponges in water immediately, and you can just reuse them constantly. So we'll just want to give that a try. Elise, are you watching in the car? Because you're on your way to Munich, I believe. Hi, Angie. So let's just dab paint on, dab paint off. There we are. Let's do little, just coming from there. I just want a bit of pattern going through to the bottom. So let's go there, and then maybe just a few. Just for the color. I just want the color repeated here, and I don't have to really see the stenciling, that specific hard lines or anything. I just want the repeat of the color. So you've got the turquoise there, and just have the turquoise. I'm just going to go over from the turquoise towards the blue. So it kind of has a natural repeat. And I'm going to go in with my blue, and I'm just going to sponge in towards the corner. In the top layer. There we are. So I think that is enough that I have for now. I'm not going to do pink stenciling. I'm going to put this to the side. So this is quite dry that you have, but there's a few things that I don't like about it, and I'm going to change. And I'm going to grab my pencils for this. So first thing is first, there's a bit of messy stenciling here, which I don't like. So I like to go in with a pencil, and I don't follow my stenciling exactly. I just pretend that I make new stenciling designs, and I just go in and just kind of fix whatever I don't like. And then maybe go in here. And what you can also do is go in and add little highlights on your stenciling where you like. You can just see I'm just playing around. I'm looking at little pattern shapes and just following in those little patterns and just playing around, creating new shapes and forms in my stenciling. So I'm just trying to give a repeat of what I have there over here. And I try always to, whatever I do that in a few places. See if I can zoom in a bit. I try to really just take that, the same method that I'm using, and I try and just repeat it and see how that works. So we have that in a couple of places. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to grab my yellow, just give it a shake, and let's do the same here. Just wherever I don't like the stenciling, I can just change the shape. Making little hearts there. One little flower. Repeating the little flower just under there, and maybe towards this side. Another one. Just like, so you get some movement in your page and your eyes are moved across your page as you go along. So let's go in and just do what I think I can do there. And that is for me making it more interesting. Hi Dana. Glad you could make another live. So you can see all that I do with the paint marker. It's just, and this is quite an old paint marker one. So I specifically chose that one because I don't want it to cover too much. I kind of like to see that stenciling pattern through it. And then maybe just in there. So that is to me already a very nice background. Let's go in with white. Oops. I've now put so many markers in this container that I can't get it out. What is it, Dana Marlene? I was to say that I have some of your stamps and other products. I was first introduced to your line last year with the 2023 calendar. I've enjoyed watching the lives each month. I've learned so much from you. Your videos has been a huge addition to my morning routine. Thank you. Thank you so much for being part of it. Oh, thanks, Dana. I do appreciate your comment. Seriously. I mean, I have done a lot for this, but my team has also been wonderful. They've made beautiful makes to get you all inspired and to comment on everyone's work and to say hello and to get to know you and to see the new people's faces, getting to know who's on there. So my gorgeous promo team also works really hard behind the scenes. I would like to take all of the credit, but wouldn't be totally fair. So I'm just going in with a few shapes and just doing that white because I like contrast, and I've talked about this before, that to create a perfect page you need a few things, and contrast is one of those things, in shape and in color and size. So I just try and do a few repeats of different things that I think will work. And then you can go in with random pattern making, and if you're scared of doing random pattern making, you could go in and you could put your stencil down and just go in and use that for your pattern making. So that is always another option that you can do. Oops, it has just gone to the roof. Oops, how can I change that? I don't know what happened there. I could see it on my iPad. Couldn't handle all the bright colors anymore, so I just switched over. I think that is an interesting mix that we've got going there. So there we are. So you can go in with these type of patterns. That is something that is definitely an option. There we are. So we've got a few repeats of that color, and that is, I think, enough for so. So I'm just going to make sure I dry my background. And I kind of heat setting my page just so everything will just be more in place. So what you can do is you can go in with colored pencils into your background and whatever you're going to use. So let me just see. Yeah, you can go in and you can even go in and add more color if you want to. But you can also say you want just a light coat of that yellow coming into the side. Just another repeat. And you can use your colored pencils for that. and if you don't want to see your pencil stripes, keep your pencil quite flat to the page and rather rub your color into your page than coloring straight from the top. As well, if you want to go in here, in between that stenciling, you can go in and just extend, for example, that yellow a bit into the white area. That is an easy way. But you can also say you might want to do a more darker purple. So I've got here, which is the iris, and that is the dark purple. You can just go in and you can say, okay, I want some of that dark purple to come back into the mix, just to enhance that contrast that we've got going into the page. So you can go in and in a couple of places. Don't do it everywhere. Don't go overboard with everything. It makes it more interesting when you don't have exactly the same thing going on everywhere. So maybe just next to that, go in with that purple and then just push the next pattern back by putting a slight light layer of the purple over it. And then putting your pinks, going to transfer to that pink in there. Transitioning that pink there, and maybe to the one side, just brightening it up. Can you see that makes a difference when you just brighten things up a bit? Maybe go in with a turquoise, which is lighter than the turquoise that I've used with the markers. It'll give you extra highlight, and that layers of different colors will make it more interesting. That makes everything come to life. And then maybe just try and get like a lilac or purple. I think this one rather, which is the pinky one. And just make sure you've got that lilac-y color in there too. Just to bring your purples and your pinks together. Yeah, and I think that is a great way just to play around and mix things up and make it what you want it to be. I mean, there is no hard rule to what you have to do when doing this. It's usually just people doing it in their own way. I'm going to go in and just slightly add a few of those shapes over to this side too. There we are. And now I do want to put in a focal point or something. I don't want just to be a background. So what I'm going to do is, certainly I have to add my day 23 in there. Plus I do want to still brighten up the background a bit, but I don't know exactly what I'm going to do there yet. So I'm going to just grab I'm not going to put the total girl in there, so I'm going to just grab the day. Good afternoon, Marianne. Is everyone on holiday already or on a break? I still have to work today and tomorrow. Although after this live, it's the end of my day, because although I have a lot of design work that needs to be finished, I will be doing it next week during the Christmas break. I will be drawing, and then because this afternoon I have to go with my kitten to the vet for her next vaccinations. I hope she doesn't get sick. Oh, let me see if I can just take this off. I'm so bad at cutting these little round shapes. It's easier for me to do it with a craft knife. Oh, you've been baking cookies, Mandy. Your boys will be happy with you. Oh, you're happy. You're free till school begins, and that is the 6th or something like that, when the schools start in the Netherlands again, I believe. '23. Winter camping in the Netherlands tomorrow. Oh, do you have a winter tent as well? I mean, we've got heating in our caravan, but we never go winter camping. We have done autumn camping. It was enough for me. I don't think I could survive that again. Ugh. I want to add a bit of black in here. I feel it's missing black. So with black, I'm just going to go in, and I'm going to go in with black ink. A couple of places, just a bit of that black. Oh, you've got heaters there. Then you'll be fine. I don't know yet if I'm convinced on winter camping. might take some convincing for me. I'm okay with summer camping. We go to France every year for camping. And we choose the same place every single year. And we've many times said that we're going to go to a different place. But it's just, we love it so much that it's just, we know that if we go to a different place, it'll just probably disappoint so much, because we know we have such a brilliant holiday there. We don't want to change it. So that is really just it. Let's see, put a bit of this here. Just doing a bit on the border here at the bottom and a bit at the top there. Putting my, and this is the same one that I have, but the only thing is I have this one for ages with the black, and I don't want to put stays on my own. I'm too I don't want to ruin my own. I'm so bad, very, very bad. Let's see. Okay, we need to go in and add the bright. Just a bit of bright over the yellow. See if that's going to make a difference. Stays on ruin your little brushes, so just get that in. Just have that bright on this side. Oh, this is your first try camping. We have for many years in the winter always we go to Delda. And there's a place called Apart Hotel Delda. And when the kids were small, we used to always go there because it's a little family hotel. And in the Netherlands. And they had a swimming pool, and you could go to the little town, and they're very quaint. There's a castle to visit, and we kind of loved it when the kids were small. But then they had like a play pen for kids and a swimming pool and bowling. That was fun when they were small, but they're not small anymore. I mean, and that was for that time brilliant, but at some stage you have to change. So we haven't found out what our adult kids' weekend away would be with us. Well, Fabian, our youngest, is away to Poland, and Shalise has to work, so it's the busiest season for them at where she works. Okay, you can see that brightens it up, and it's pushing the colors a bit back, kind of like the effect that has. And this is the translucent, the wow. It's the neon yellow. Just covering a bit of that. Pushing that back a bit, yellowing that up, and just by putting the yellow over there, it just kind of gives you a better transition between the colors. Let's brighten this up too. This is how you build layers. Very important to know how to build your layers on top of one another. That's it, and I can add a bit of that pink too. And just make sure that I've got my pink neon doing its work in there. Just going in with a bit of that pink neon. At the bottom, oops, don't want to totally cover my white. I've got a bit too much of the pink on there. What you are doing now is you're just pushing your layers back, and you're putting one translucent color where you're pushing it back, and it just kind of blends your page, and it gives you a bit more peace and quiet. Otherwise it becomes really busy. So you have to, I have to definitely fill up my colors again. So Studio Light did send out some refills to me. They're upstairs in my studio. For those that don't know, I usually always work downstairs in my living room, and I do my lives from there too. And it's not that I don't have a studio, it's just I don't know what to do when I sit in my studio. I kind of get stage fright. I think, it feels like I should be working, but I don't know. The pressure is really on. I'm just going to go in. I'm going to just cover this up because it's too much trouble. Just going to cover that up a bit. And what I will do is I'll just go back in with my white marker where I want it to be whiter. There we are. So that is a bit the way that I think that I want it. That's the way I like it. Just that layering makes it look much better. That is what lifts it at the end of the day. So we want a bit of a focal point. And before I go to my focal points, I did want to show you I forgot yesterday. I had a couple of stencil things that I made before, and you can see this, for example, is a tag, and I used watercolors at the top, my Art by MARLENE watercolors, and I used some glitter. Can you see that? the bottom through the stencil, and that is just a lovely effect that it can give you, so you can start using fishies up there. That is one of the stencils that we used, was it yesterday or the day before? And this one is the Hauser stencil that I made, and I used. This one was the first day's quotes. The houses with one of the stencils in the quote. This is also with metallics running through and with pencils through my stencil. The owl, the dot stencil, and with this one what I did is I just used all of the tags, the back, the flip from this part, can you see, there and there, from all the different pages, and I just stuck them all together and build a background from that. Oh, this is still coming. Oops, I can't show you. So this one you've seen, this one you've seen, and so that is what I've been doing when I was prepping for the classes. So let's grab our little elements again. No, she's too broad for there. And I don't want to put this one. It's like diving into art. Dive into your creativity. Maybe do that. Let's do that. And would it be weird to take his hat off and make a Santa hat? Because we're going towards Christmas. Can we try that? Should we try that? Maybe. Should I say that? So we'll have to go in there, and I'll have to create a Christmas hat that is about this wide. And then have this just first going to try it on. Maybe first make it red. I'm just going to quickly just use a Copic marker for the background, and then use one of mine on top of that. Just to give it a finishing touch. And then let's see where the other one is, the darker red. Let's see how that's going to work, because then it'll be nice if we can give him a bit of a Christmassy feel. We're heading towards Christmas, so having a different hat on doesn't make sense to me, so I will use him if the Christmas hat effect works. So this little piece of cardboard that I've been using as my backing paper is now finally becoming a hat, but it has been on my desk for 23 days now. And I've used it every day, so I don't feel as guilty about cutting it up. So I can make it a bit smaller. But that might work. Let's see. Let's cut his head off. And once it's cut off, I won't have a choice. I will have to figure something out. That is it. Then there's no way going, oops, there's no way going back from there. And what I'll do is just go in there, and his feet. I know you don't need to fuzzy cut any of these, guys. It is just me and my OCD that things should be perfect. So that's going to be that. And then we're going to put his, we're going to create a smaller hat. But it has to be a bit too big, because otherwise it won't be funny, it won't be quirky. So we have to give it a bit of a funky twist. So I'm going to maybe, so he really dives in. So let's put him and then the Santa hat. If we press it down a bit, just to make sure that it is good and fastened. So I'm just going to go in with a greyish acrylic marker just to give that a shade. Or acrylic marker, Copic marker on the hat. And that looks like he is taking a dive. So let's just put some acrylic marker on here. You all know the process really, I think, by now. We can't leave him like that. You will have to have some kind of shading behind him. Or under him. That is really a necessity, because otherwise you just don't get, he doesn't lift off from the page. What I'll do is just go around this day 23 too. And in the middle there. And I might tone down this 23 and just go into that cardboard and just make it a blue, because I just feel it's too busy. It's too busy on top of busy. And that does my head in. So we've got that, day 23. And then we have to say dive into creativity, or something like that. Or maybe I will find a quote in my sticky quotes book. I'm just giving that a quick dry just so I can put a highlight on. There, 23. That looks better, don't you think? So I'm going to first have a peek and just see if I don't have a quote in my little book that I'm not lazy art. Eat litter, shine through, art is a storm that you chase instead of one that you run from. No. So we'll have to find a little quote. Make the impossible possible. Better oops than what if. That does explain this page to me. Whimsical creatures make. Color makes life more beautiful. Maybe that. Or should I look for something for diving? But I do want a larger quote for this one. Open your mind and let the images out. What do you think, guys? Or push your boundaries. Or just this one, create every day. That'll look nice with the pink. I think that'll look nice with the pink. But I also have it in two different colors. I also have it in white and in black. I'm going to go with create every day, and I'm going to go with it in the white. And I'm first going to cut into this. Don't be afraid to cut into your stickers and things so that they are exactly the way you want them to be on a page. Of course, we do our stickers the way we do it for a reason, because the cutting knives and the things that we need to, you can't make all the angles for the specific books. And we want one quote to be together, so one quote will usually be in one, it'll be cut out together, but there's nothing preventing you from cutting it into pieces and sticking it into different lines and further apart and things like that. Create every day, and because this is create every day is what we are doing, that's why I'm choosing this quote. This is what we're doing actually during the Advent. We are creating every day. There we are. That's it. So that's just from the Golden Oldie Sticky Books, which has loads and loads of different quotes. And that is our little page for today. Easy peasy and fun to just use. So thank you very much for joining me. Bye-bye.